Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. You're watching The World Today and I'm your host Omer Khalid. But two very important topics that are part of our show today. The first is the extraordinary OIC Summit that is being held tomorrow in Turkey. From the Pakistani side, our Prime Minister will be attending there. As you know a little bit of why it's being held. It's being held because of Wednesday's statement of President Donald Trump, in which he says that he now recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Worldwide condemnation followed by different countries, not only from the Muslim world but also from Europe, criticizing President Trump's decision. As you know, Israel seized control of the Palestinian East Jerusalem from Jordan in 1967 and later annexed it. This is a move that is not recognized by the international community, but the Jewish state considers Jerusalem as its undivided capital, and Palestinians believe that East Jerusalem is illegally occupied and they see it as the capital of their future state. The second story that we are going to talk about is the unfortunate incident that happened in North Waziristan, in which a second lieutenant and a sepoy were martyred as terrorists opened fire on an army vehicle in North Waziristan. Sepoy Basharat had been serving in the military for 3 years, whereas Lieutenant Moeed, who is a resident of Burewala, Bihari, had just recently passed out from the Pakistan Military Academy. Both were just 21 years of age. We will talk about these latest spate of incidents that have been occurring in North Waziristan as well as this extraordinary OIC summit. Let me introduce you to my two guests who are here to discuss this and share their opinions and points of views on it. On my very right is Rana Athar Javed, a defense analyst and a regular guest here to talk about different issues that plague our region, our world. Thank you very much, Rana Saab, to have joined us. Next to him is Dr. Muhammad Khan. You're an international affairs expert. Dr. Saab, thank you very much to have joined us as well. We'll start with you, Rana Saab. Rana Saab, what kind of mentality would you put behind President Donald Trump's decision that emanated on a late Wednesday evening, when all of a sudden he describes that the United States now recognizes Jerusalem as Israel's capital?
Well, thank you very much, Omer. I think it's a very, very sad day for international community and especially the Muslim world, that the President Donald Trump has actually deceived not only the Muslims in this term, but also he betrayed United States people, and every policy US has followed since '67, and the policy was and had been that it is under international law. Palestine issue and the issue of Jerusalem is unresolved and undecided, so it cannot be unilaterally decided by the United States.
True.
Who should be the concern the most? Of course, the Muslims are, but I think US has put Israeli security much more at risk. It has made Israel more vulnerable for international isolation. And also US itself, if you have seen the comments and advices coming out from Europe, that this has primarily were rejected by Germany, France, and all other democratic countries of the Western Europe and other, including Muslim world. And of course, Pakistan has already stated, and Pakistan's position is very clear in this, that the issue of Palestine should be resolved under the UN resolution, and it is not possible for any president, including Trump, that they try to sort of evaporate or eliminate all kind of international norms and regulations.
That is true. Dr. Muhammad Khan, protests in Middle East emanated post President Trump's decision. The Arab League also demanded that the US revoke the Jerusalem decision. The extraordinary summit has also been called by the President of Turkey, as he is chair of the OIC Summit. Do you see a resolution of this issue coming through the different tactics or the different pressure groups that are deliberating upon the US to revoke its decision?
Thank you, Omer. First of all, let me tell you that this act by President Trump is not something very, very new. because since a resolution was passed by Israeli parliament in 1980s, United States Congress passed a resolution in 1995. And this was a time when a liberal president, a Democrat president, President Bill Clinton was at the helm of affair. Though apparently he was trying to prove that he is looking for a two-state solutions, but as a matter of fact, he did not resist the Congress decision. Though he did not sign it, because the situation at that time in the Middle East was not conducive for the United States to go ahead. Then you know that subsequent presidents like Bush, then Obama, they in a way they did not sign it, because again the situation was not in the favor of United States of America. No, you know that you have to see the ground situation, the strategic situation in the region. Middle East has been reduced, it has been degraded sufficiently in last 5 to 10 years. Today if you look around, Iraq is indeed in a bad shape, Syria.
But sir, as far as Iraq is concerned, the president has just announced that the IS is completely out of Iraq. Do you feel that it's going to come back to its original state now?
Let me tell you the overall situation in the Middle East. That's not good. And very recently, President Trump, he had a meeting with all heads of states of the Islamic world in Riyadh. It was somewhere in May, June 2017, where he again provoked some of the Muslim countries against each other. So situation in the Middle East is as such that it was very opportune moment for the United States of America to announce such a decision, and President Trump did it. And let me tell you that US policies, they move forward in a consistency, and definitely as far as the state of Israel is concerned, they have a policy to strengthen it, and we say that Israeli dictate that, but they are looking for, United States of America is looking for its pointsman, its strategic partner in various regions. And here in the entire Middle East, you know, they are looking for a Middle East which is a greater Middle East, and they are looking for a Israel which is greater Israel. So that is the expansionist policies United States is supporting, and Israel is following. Now, you said that since extraordinary session of OIC is being called, it is going to be held tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yes.
And let me tell you that OIC unfortunately has not proved itself to be a very, very effective organization at the global horizon.
All right.
In the past, we haven't seen anything very, very positive coming out from this organization, which should have been very, very effective, being the second largest organization after United Nations.
And why do you feel that is so?
Because you always say something based on tangibles. Once we look at the tangibles, that there have been the issues of Muslim world in the past too. But OIC's resolution, Arab League's resolutions, or many resolutions of the Muslim countries, they have been fruitless. You said that whether there would be some pressure on the United States of America to reconcile its decision. I think as far as the Muslim world is concerned, we are not looking something very, very positive coming out. Yes, there would be resolutions. I am expecting very, very strong resolution as a result of this OIC special summit. But yes, if there is a pressure, or if there would be some sort of impact, that impact is from the European Union, that impact would be from the China, that impact would be from the Russia. And all these countries, they have already shown their annoyance, their concern about the President Trump's decision. But we have to see another thing that is very, very important. After all, there are resolution on issue of the Palestine, for the resolution of the Palestine.
Of course, the resolution 478 of 1980 and the resolution 2334 2016, they are two very important
resolution. And UN considered Jerusalem not part of Israel, and this UN has made it absolutely clear. Now we have to see that what legal position this Trump's decision or the US decision of Trump's United States decision, it is going to impact the international community, because it's one country's decision.
All right.
So we have to look into the legality of this issue, that one country's decision is not going to have a, I would say that substantial effect. If other countries, they are not going to follow the US stance, or they are not going to follow the suit. Reason being that if US is shifting its embassy in Jerusalem, and
that the other countries should follow suit.
But I am expecting that other countries, they are not going to follow United States of America.
You've seen the reaction that came from Europe as well.
Yes, this is a very, very positive. No, what we have to do with the Muslim Ummah need to do, I think let's have diversity as far as our approaches are concerned. Let's take this opportunity with the optimist mindset, with the optimist, I would say, the future roadmap, and that is that paved the way in entire Europe, in the entire rest of the world. Now we have two very important emerging powers in the form of Russia, in the form of China. All these countries, they can force United States of America, they can force international community that let's have resolution of this issue, because after all, for how long should the Palestinians suffer at the hands of
And one should look at the broader perspective
That's
on how
nice.
it's going to affect the world instead of how it's going to affect one country and its initiatives.
And the good thing is, just one word, good thing is that France, the parliament of the France has already passed a resolution for the two-state solution, and it was done 2 years back.
Yes.
And today they are vigorously following that resolution, whereas there is a new president, and Germany is doing the same. And good thing is that even United Kingdom, we were expecting that they are going to follow the United States of America.
Even they have
Even they have not supported the US stance.
Legality of the issue, that's a very important point that Dr. Muhammad Khan talks about, Rana Javed Saab. How much of legality is in this? For example, if for example the United Nations refuses to endorse it, or other bodies refuse to endorse it, and the United States unilaterally goes ahead and recognizes Jerusalem, do you feel, sir, in your point of view, that other countries are going to follow suit?
Well, this is very complex because the United Nations, I think legality in terms of Israel never worked, and it won't work now. It would be United States which has to negotiate or withdraw.
All right.
Because if you're talking about the only United Nations platform, United Nations has many times and in several resolutions condemned and sanctioned Israel. But
Rana Sahib, you remember the Kashmir issue, it's with the United Nations
it's the
so many years.
issue. It's the oldest issue and nothing happened. So the issue here is that what are the rules of the of this game? And the rules of the game at the moment appears that the US must have thought very hard to bring this kind of
Do you feel that the United States really thought very hard about all the implications of it, or was it a snap decision by the president?
I do not think it's a snap decision because simply President Trump might have been making snap statements and everything.
That he has been.
But he has been. But this kind of decision, obviously, he must have consulted with his close quarters.
All right.
And the second thing we should not forget is it is also a time in the Muslim world that the Muslim world itself is not at peace within the Muslim world. Like in different, in Yemen, in other places, we have internal intrastate conflicts between Qatar and Saudi Arabia and between Iran. So basically a united front at the moment to the opinion doesn't exist as it has been in the previous times.
All right.
In the previous times, most of the time, whenever there is a problem or issue come up with the Israeli, they came very hard and staunch, supported one opinion against Israel, against the United States decision. This time, they are already divided. So I think the OIC summit, which is I know the OIC appears and conceived to be as important organization at the moment.
But 57 countries, Rana Sahib, it's not negligible.
And not negligible, but they are negligible in terms of their actions. When you do not, when an organization of this scale or scope do not make any substantive decisions, especially on their own, as relating to their own issues. Forget about the issues which are outside their prism. Obviously, this weakens the mandate. And at this point in time, if they want to revive it, if they want to really show that the OIC has the teeth and OIC can ultimately say boycott or say something in a peaceful manner, talk to the United States and engage them and make them realize that the future only Israel doesn't exist in the Middle East. There are so many other countries.
There are so many other countries. Majority are Arab countries.
And also Arab countries, of course. Iran has a very major role as well, as you know, that Iran and Saudi Arabia, although they are at the moment are on the wrong foot or on awkward relationship, but still it is very important for OIC member states that if they want to revive their mandate, this is a time for them. Come out strong, support the issue of Palestine, and reject this decision
this doctrine by the United
Trump,
States
yes.
of recognizing Jerusalem. We've got online with us an Arab journalist, Abdul Rahman Matar. Mr. Matar, thank you very much to have joined us. Mr. Matar, Wednesday's decision by President Donald Trump to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Now, marches are staged in Pakistan, Azad Jammu and Kashmir, Iran, Indonesia, Malaysia, Afghanistan, Indian-held Kashmir, Jordan, Tunisia, Somalia, Yemen, Indonesia, even in Japan. Even in Europe, it is condemned. The United Kingdom condemns it. Do you feel this is going to be enough as pressure for President Trump to reverse his decision?
Hopefully, but I don't think. And if you allow me, and if your guests also allow me to a little bit disagree with him, I don't think this situation will be solved diplomatically or peacefully. But anyway, at least there is a chance for the Muslim Ummah and for the Arab countries to take a bold step to cut all their relations with the United States, whether it is on the diplomatic level, political level, military, whatever, economically. Each and every type of relation with the United States should be cut. And I think there is a huge and very historical and big challenge faced by the Muslim Ummah, in which they have to show their belief, respect to the first Qibla of the Muslims and to the holy places in Jerusalem, in Bayt al-Maqdis. And this step should not be, faced only with some demonstrations. Yes, demonstrations is good. It reflects the sentiments of the public, of the Muslims, each and everywhere. But still, I think the governments of those Muslim countries should, respect the wishes of the people in these countries, and they should, take a very bold and courageous step.
Mr. Matar, how optimistic are you from the resolution that will be passed by the OIC Summit tomorrow? Because there's an extraordinary session of the OIC Summit. Most of the 57 countries are expected to attend. The Arab League has already denounced it. Many other organizations have denounced it. Do you feel that the OIC is going to put a firm stand against this decision by Donald Trump?
Again, there is a hope. Let us remember that the OIC is the only platform we have as a Muslim Ummah. So there is a hope, and as I said, there is a challenge in front of the leaders of the Muslim Ummah. They have to take a historical step. They have to declare whatever they have to declare. It should reflect what the people in these countries really believe in and wishes. So I don't think it just condemnation is enough, or calling the United States to take back the decision regarding shifting the embassy. It's not enough, because the meaning of this declaration by U.S. administration is very very dangerous. 100 years ago, 1917, the British foreign minister at that time, he promised the Jewish communities in Europe to establish a state, an independent state in Palestine. And now, after 100 years, 2017, the U.S. president is, confirming in a way or another this decision. And, the disputed land, the disputed capital, now United States, the biggest, strongest country in the whole world, starts considering as the capital of so-called Israel. Nobody believes in that. Even as you mentioned a while ago yourself, most of the European countries also has refused this decision. So I think the biggest challenge is faced by Muslim Ummah. The leaders should reflect the wishes, the sentiment of the public all over the Muslim Ummah, and they should declare their cutting relations with the United States. Condemnation is not enough.
Mr. Matar, the sentiments, as far as sentiments from people are concerned, in the brotherly country of Pakistan, we have condemned it at various fora as well. Also, yesterday, the Senate talked for 5 continuous hours on this resolution that was moved by Leader of the House in the Senate, Raja Zafrul Haq, and which he said that the UN Security Council resolution, especially the resolution number 478 of 1980 and 2334 of 2016, as well as international norms, be respected. Do you feel, sir, that despite all this widespread condemnation, the United States will budge, or will it move ahead? And if it moves ahead, what are the repercussions?
This is exactly what I was trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that condemnation is not enough. A practical step should be taken by the Muslim Ummah, by the leaders of the Muslim countries and their meeting in Istanbul under the umbrella of the OIC. Practical steps. I believe that, okay, if those Muslim countries are not willing and not wishing to go into a practical war with the United States, which they think that they cannot, so at least they should take a bold decision, cut the relation with the United States. Let the United States and the other countries which is supporting the United States, so far maybe there is one or two countries only supporting the US in this decision, let them realize that there is a refusal in the Muslim Ummah regarding their decision. And I don't think United States will change its mind unless we as a Muslim take a practical step. Contamination is okay, it's welcomed. And as a Palestinian, I'm really grateful and thankful to each and everyone who condemned those that declaration by United States. But I'm saying that condemnation is not enough. Practical steps to be taken.
All right, so you believe that action speak louder than words, and it's action that needs to be taken right now.
Definitely.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Abdul Rahman Matar. That was Arab journalist Abdul Rahman Matar talking to us and giving us his point of view. He says an action needs to be taken, not just mere condemnation. Now, Rana Athar Javed Saab, as Abdul Rahman Matar Saab talked about, that it's time to move towards tangible action and not just mere condemnation or passing out resolutions. Do you feel something of that sort could come out in the coming days?
No, I'm sorry to respectfully disagree with the colleague. It's not possible. It's not because they cannot do it. The situation for the Arab world, as I said, is indicated very. Most of the Middle Eastern countries, excluding Iran and Turkey, they are being basically, their security is based on to be honest, on the United States. The hardware of the US bases in Qatar, Bahrain, Fifth Fleet, and in Kuwait, permanent bases. So I cannot imagine that these countries would withdraw their diplomats. They may pass a resolution, which which is strong words, asking US, giving an ultimatum maybe, to asking them to withdraw. Otherwise, these measures will happen. Practically, he was saying the practical steps, and if they cannot fight, well, I'm sorry to say, but this is the tale of the Muslim world, that we are in trouble. At the same time, we have this is the saddest news of the since for the Muslims, especially the Palestinians, who have been suffering for so long. What we need to do is we need to put pressure, a real-time diplomatic pressure, on the US, and these countries are those who can do it. Is Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Turkey is an important country, but I do not know if Turkey pressure would be that much. But I do know that the OIC's collective response, and a response which, as I said, which revive their mandate, and if they can collaborate or in conformity with the European Union, if they can do that kind of joint stand, I think then the United States may withdraw this. But it has to come through the European connection, making a consortium of diplomatic consortium internationally, and then let the Europe lead, and they give them the support.
All right.
This is the best way, because the US has more stakes in Europe because of NATO, because of the international trade agreements, and there are many other defense agreements and their equipment which is being used throughout the Middle East. So this is the way forward.
All right.
Only OIC cannot do it, because we have received a very positive response from the European countries. OIC should use that.
All right.
And put forward their collective strong response
For some kind of an action to be taken at the European Union level and other levels at the West.
Absolutely, but this is the way forward.
All right, all right. Dr. Mohammad Khan, Rana Shah talked about Turkey. Now, Turkey has asked for this OIC session, but there has also been a very strong spate of words between Turkey and Israel as far as the US Jerusalem decision is concerned. On Sunday, both leaders traded accusations on involvement in terrorism days after the US recognized Jerusalem as its capital. Do you feel that this is going to further escalate the tense relationship that exists between Israel, the US and Turkey?
Omer, already there is both United States and Turkey, they are not enjoying a very good relationship since last 2 years. And despite the fact that Turkey is a member country of the NATO, and after United States of America, Turkey is the largest troop contributing unit in this NATO organization. But as you said that there has been acquisitions on both sides, from the Turkish side as well as from the Israeli side. You know that as far as this Kurdish element is concerned, they are being supported by those countries which are today creating problem for Turkey. Despite the fact that this current president of Turkey, he has been very I would say that statesman in order to bring a
You remember
consensus.
the coup d'etat that happened,
Consensus.
the attempt.
It tried to, indeed, it tried to.
July last year.
It tried to indeed, I am not talking about that revolution, but indeed it tried that this Kurdish leader that there should be some sort of understanding, and that understanding was developed between Turkish government and Kurdish leadership.
All right.
Later on what happened, that since Kurdish issue, let me take you back to 1920 and 1923. There was to be a Kurdish state, autonomous Kurdish state, as per 1920s agreement between Turkey, France and United Kingdom. But later on in 1923, it was that possibility of Kurdish state was indeed, it was undone. Today, for the creation of Kurdish state, already you know that in Iraq there is an autonomous Kurdish state, and they had indeed, they fought against the Turkish Iraqi government. And the Kurdish population of Turkey, which is largest in number, they are around 15 million. They are the one, those who are being pious, those who are being supported by some of the countries, I would not name, but I think the situation is absolutely clear.
All right.
And that is where Netanyahu was trying to point scoring. Once President Tayyip Erdogan, he said that oppression and suppression is going on against the Palestinians and all that.
And he has described openly Israel as a terrorist state.
Indeed, Israel is a terrorist state. And what you were earlier pointing toward the Indian occupied Kashmir, same goes with India. India is against a terrorist state. And let me share with you that the amount of this terrorism and the strategies and the tactics which is being used by Israel, the same strategy, the same tactics is being used by India against the Indian occupied Kashmir. So there is, I would say, the total harmony. And you must have noticed that after 26th June, a meeting between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, there was a visit of Prime Minister Modi to Israel. And this was as the Israeli Prime Minister told Prime Minister Modi that we were waiting for you for years and years. And nice that you are here. And then they shared so many things, they are cooperating as far as the defense and security issues are concerned. So we are looking at a Middle East indeed, that where America has designs for expansion of Israel, and this is at the cost of the Muslim. You were asking something from Rana Sahab and earlier matter, that what actions we are expecting from OIC. You know that let's consider one thing, that there is an intent and there is a potential. Intent is for good objective, good purpose and all that, and all Muslim countries, they would like, including Saudi Arabia and Iran, that the Palestine
should be resolved amicably.
It should be resolved and they should have a state. Statehood is indeed for every Muslim, they are looking for that. But you know that as far as defense cooperation with the United States of America is concerned, most of the Arab countries, they are enjoying that, except Iran, which is not a non-Arab country. Most of the Arab countries, most of the GCC countries, despite that it was President Trump who indeed initiated hate culture or a sort of a, I would say that disregard
Don't
for
you
the
remember
Qatar.
the recent spate of tweets that he had taken out
Yes.
that were very anti-Muslim?
And later on he tried to bridge the gap, and where Qatar spent $15 billion for purchase of the weapons from the United States of America.
The US has a base in Qatar, sir.
Apart from $480 billion they were spent by Saudi Arabia and all that. And I have some personal knowledge about that, that indeed United States of America is reviving its military industrial complex, and this is at the cost of Arab. I mean, the resources of these countries, then they are going to be bombed by each other, by the weapons which they have purchased from the United States of America. No, I think it is right time, Omer, that the Muslim community, once the Turkish president
gets together and takes firm action.
And I think we are self-sufficient in most of the cases as far as the economy is concerned. Yes, we are facing problem, not we Pakistanis, but some of the Arab countries, they are facing problem as far as their defense is concerned. But you need a defense and security. Once you are not in line with each other. There are intrastate as well as interstate problems between these Arab countries. Resolve those issues and stand up as you were before 1973 for this state of the Palestine. We can still do it, provided there is a will, and that will, I think, is
that will is very important. Rana Javed Sahab, you were not very optimistic as far as some kind of tangible action might come out of the OIC summit tomorrow, that you very amicably stated a few moments back. Now, the OIC was made in 1969, 2 years after Israel seized control of the Palestinian East Jerusalem. Now, this is one of the core issues that the OIC has been discussing since its inception in 1969, but to date, nothing has happened. The US has not been as maybe proactive as it has now been, with Trump openly stating that Jerusalem is the capital of Israel, but it has time and again been supporting and always supporting Israel. Despite the different declarations by the OIC, nothing has come out of it yet. Do you feel now that he has taken an action that is going towards a certain direction, that the Muslims might eventually get together and take out a tangible action? Is there that possibility, sir? I know you're not that optimistic, but is there a hint of a possibility?
Actually, it's not about my optimism. It's about the ground realities. We are analyzing what we have in hand and what we need to achieve. What are the objectives? This is how we should analyze it. And I think since the leadership of Turkey is quite different than the other Arab countries, so there is one, I would say, glimmer of hope that because the Tayyip Erdogan doesn't mince his words, and his leadership at many, many occasions we have seen in case of Bangladesh, for example, and their behavior and attitude towards Jamaat Islamiyah, and the people was sentenced to death and hanged, to the very old people. In the case of Pakistan's debacle of East Pakistan, where of course Makti Bahani supported, he took the stand. He withdrew his ambassador. Other Muslim countries did not. So I imagine that if the neutral stances, the place where this is happening at OIC, it may has its own dynamic in the end, and Turkish leadership, along with, as I said, the Arab leadership, because Turkey, we have to understand that also being very much complemented, supported by Russians and others, and they are very close allies. So there is a chance that these countries, as I said, may corroborate or collaborate with already voices in the world, which are voices considered, which Americans considers are the voices which they cannot ignore. For example, the Britain even did not actually endorse it. So,
even Japan condemned it, a country that has remained quite neutral in the past.
Neutral, but also been very close ally of the US. So it means there is a momentum, there is a momentum building, but that has to be translated from the platform of the OIC exactly the way I'm just my humble suggestion.
So that momentum needs to be translated, and I hope that words and declaration might translate into actions. We can all be optimistic, can't we?
Absolutely, we are, as I said, but it has to be taken from the root where you have a strength, you negotiate from the strength position. And our strength lies, Muslim world's strength lies in collaborating with the European Union at the moment, because there are matching voices, and there are concerns which are raised by Britain, Germany, France, and Norway, Denmark, and other countries, Japan, as you said. So the Muslim world needs to get closer to them and push the United States, this policy, backward in order to create or revive the possibility of two-state solutions.
The Muslims need to get together, Dr. Muhammad Khan, but as you pointed out that there are so many issues amongst the Muslim countries as well. We see what's happening in the Middle East, but also here if you see in the region, Afghanistan and Pakistan, we've got a huge issue of terrorism. Just look at what happened today. Two 21-year-olds were martyred. One was a sepoy, one was a second lieutenant who had just passed out a couple of months back. They have just started their careers and look what fate had in store for them, martyrdom, but may Allah bless them. But the thing is that this spate of attacks that has started from the September 23rd when an officer embraced martyrdom in Rajgal Khyber Agency, then it happened on the 3rd of October, then the 9th of November, then the 13th of November. Now again, is this a little resurgence, or is this the last ditch efforts by terrorists to try to show their presence?
Omer, there is a history of these sacrifices from Pakistan Army and Pakistani nation, and there is a continuity of these sacrifices. You have to see it in both ways. Now, your pertinent question that is it a last ditch effort or some sort of I would say resurgence. Let me tell you that United States of America, President Trump, he gave a policy outline of South Asia on 21st of August.
Yes. The
And
Afghanistan
there he,
policy.
in a way, tried to blame Pakistan for all the ills and evils which United States of America, its strategic partner India, and the country which both have invaded, both these countries, they have invaded Afghanistan. They are trying to indeed put the blames on Pakistan for their failure. This is the game. Now what has happened? Indeed, over the period of the time, 150,000 troops of United States of America and rest of the NATO countries, 48 countries, they could not do anything in Afghanistan. Rather, they created a trouble. They have intensified the issue which otherwise should have been resolved. But the Pakistan army, the people of the Pakistani nation, they were able to at least get rid of this terrorism in most of its areas, last being the North Waziristan, and then Rad al-Fasad is still continuing. No, whether I think rather they should have appreciated the effort of Pakistan, the Pakistani nation and the Pakistani army. They are indeed trying to blame Pakistan for all those actions and ills and evils which perhaps it is not in the account of the Pakistan. However, you know that it was after the Trump, there were two very high level visits. One was Rex Tillerson's visit and then James Mattis' visit. Both cases Pakistan was very, very clear, absolutely clearly told them that Pakistan has done as far as
and even Pakistan's stance, I feel, Dr. Saab, has been very, very clear and straightforward this time.
And this time, for the first time, I would say in last couple of years, or I would say for 2 decades, Pakistan's stance was clear. Pakistani body language of the Pakistani leadership, both the military leadership as well as the political leadership.
Even the PAF chief said that if they see any drone strike coming from across the border, the drones will be shot down.
Yes, and I think message is absolutely clear at Washington, at New Delhi, and at Kabul. And as a response to that, they are trying to iterate, they are trying to bleed the Pakistan. And these are some of the actions, I would say, that through the terrorists which are hiding. Indeed, Pakistan gave them a narrative that rather you accuse Pakistan. The truth is that you are hiding people like Mullah Omer. You are hiding 5 to 7,000 TTP people there. And now you are trying to make another bloc, ISIS, which you have brought all the way from Iraq.
Even the rumors that TTP is being backed by which country?
No, it is not a rumor, indeed, this is a reality. And this US general in Afghanistan, General Nicholson, he is on record saying in front of the Senate Armed Services Committee, he said that ISIS is concentrating in Afghanistan. And Hamid Karzai said that United States of America is indeed behind the ISIS. They are promoting this element. Indeed, ISIS is being targeted, is being assigned responsibility to target Pakistan, to target China, to target Central Asian countries and Russia too. So they are trying to fix Afghanistan accuse Pakistan
and create kind of a base in
That's
Afghanistan
nice.
so as to make their presence here to be kind of that counter force for China
look
and
at
other
the
countries
bravery,
and Russia.
look at the bravery of Pakistani soldiers. That a very young boy, 21 years age,
221 years old,
220.
sir.
And you have seen that there has been a series. So this is the
This
boldness.
is what I told you.
And you know that most of the American soldiers, those who are in Afghanistan, they are in trauma, in a psychological trauma in United States, back at home. Whereas the Pakistani army, once it has been fighting against the terrorists, they have been doing it bravely, boldly. There have been no desertion.
Of course, there have been two major operations
Yes.
by the army.
But there have been no desertion and there has been no issue as far as the mental disorder is
That
concerned.
is true. Rana Akhtar Saab, our Prime Minister strongly condemned this and also sent his condolences to the bereaved families. The Chief of the Army Staff tweeted, and I quote, "Freedom is not free. It costs sons of the soil. Freedom that we enjoy today is owed by so many brave hearts. Salute to our martyrs." Freedom is not free, sir. Despite two major operations, we still are not truly free in that region of North Waziristan that had supposedly been freed of the elements. What do you feel, sir, as a defense analyst, needs to be done now?
I think what Pakistan is doing, to be honest, is one of the most courageous act of countering asymmetrical warfare. I think it's in the history of asymmetrical warfare, no force in the world ever has had this kind of success in a short period of time. And the combination here at the moment is intelligence-based operations and some missions which has a combat, tactical and combat component. But mostly the IBOs basically has also, whereas the IBOs brings the good results, it has its own dangers. And that dangers had shown that the surprises, sometimes the terrorists actually use human shield and use civilian quarters. Sometimes they hide and then suddenly they look at somebody who is approaching, they shot at. So I think Pakistan should continue to do what it needs to be done. And the Chief of Army Staff, General Bajwa's statement means that freedom has a responsibility. And our forces, I think, is one of the best forces in the world.
That's true.
And the best forces that they have.
You also helped Sri Lanka, sir. How
Yes.
can we forget that?
Yes, of course, Sri Lanka has done it as well. But what we are facing is complex than Sri Lankans. Why I'm saying it, because you are up against maybe more than 40 intelligence agencies which had launched their different militant networks into your country. And you are fighting under limited resources, but with a great heart and with the reality or to protect the coming generations. We are fighting both at ideological, that we are trying to present a competing narratives to the extremists. At the same time, we are fighting our young soldiers. The one is, the second lieutenant who just martyred and the Sipahi. I would say that Pakistan should take pride in it, and their family should take also pride in it, because our coming generation would take pride in it, as we had been doing in the past. Like during the Pakistan movement, people sacrificed attacks of the Indian militants and the militant military Indias, which attacking daily basis in Kashmir, blinding people, killing them. We take pride in every fighting the person or the people who are trying to defend themselves. I think Pakistan Army and Pakistani people we are trying to defend our territory and our country in the face of huge, I would say, and remarkable force, which is united from different angles, from India to all the way from the Western country. It has roots to sponsor this kind of operations against Pakistan military. We should not give it up, and we are not going to give up. We are going to fight it to the
Till
end,
the last enemy
till the last enemy on this
removed
pure
from this
land.
land.
Yes, absolutely.
Inshallah, inshallah. Sir, I'm really sorry we're a bit short of time. Dr. Muhammad Khan, Rana Akhtar Javed Saab, thank you so very much for your points of view, for your valuable input on two very important topics. Ladies and gentlemen, the OIC, whether it be terrorism on the international level, as Israel has been showing and as Turkey has openly told, and of course has convened this extraordinary session of the OIC tomorrow to not only condemn but maybe move a resolution that might bring forward some tangible action and maybe, just maybe, the US might revoke its decision as far as declaring Jerusalem as the capital of Israel is concerned. It's very important in this day and age for the Muslim world to stand together, to be one force against all those enemies who are trying to thwart the Muslim world and tear it apart. Also in Pakistan, our armed forces are doing their utmost. They are one of the best armed forces in the world, and inshallah ta'ala, Pakistan will be free of all elements of terrorism, extremism and sectarianism in the days and months to come. Omer, Khalid, bids you farewell from this episode of World Today. We'll be inshallah back tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz.